welcome back to Book Vibes. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite and probably more shocking reads that I did during the year of 2021. The books that I chose for this year were books that kind of threw me off, or I didn't expect to like at all, or I thought there's no way that I'm going to like this, or initially I thought that they were stupid. Like when I read this synopsis, I was like, this is going to be dumb. I don't want to read this. Turns out I absolutely loved it. So I chose 9 books. Now it was hard, and 9 I know is an odd number, but that 10th one just wasn't, on the same level as the rest of them. Or if I picked that 10th one, then I would have had to pick 3 or 4 more because they kind of, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very complicated the way that this process was hard. Okay, this process was hard. Pretty much what I'm going to do is show you guys the book that I chose, or the manga that I chose. Very brief synopsis, and then I'm going to tell you the part about it that I like the most. And with that, let's just get into the video. Alright, so first up I have I Want to Eat Your Pancreas by Yoro Sumino, and the art is by Idumi Kirihara. This story is about a young man and a young girl. The young man is an introvert, very, similar to myself. He didn't want to have friends. He was to himself. And about a young lady who was dying from pancreatic cancer. Now, the young man found her diary. He read her diary. And from there, I'm just going to stop there. From there, you see a blooming relationship happen between the two. Now, I want to tell you right now, this book stuck with me till now. I still think about this book to this day. My husband actually picked this up. I didn't choose this for myself, so that's another thing. There's some, volumes that I did not choose for myself. My husband chose it, and I was like, I am not reading that. And this is a bittersweet romance. So, if you watch me from the beginning, romances aren't my thing. But when I say that I absolutely fell in love with this book, I love the art. The art is beautiful, and the ending stuck with me for so long. If you've read I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, you know what I'm talking about. It's a tough one, but I highly recommend it. Now, this next volume, you guys have heard me talk about this series and praise this series and defend this series, and it just ended, and I loved every moment of the journey, and that is Sweat and Soap. Come on, focus for me, baby. This Sweat and Soap, y'all. I love Sweat and Soap. Like I said before, y'all know I don't like romance, but this was written very well. It is a seinen romance, and of course it starts out really weird. And let me go ahead, I'm going to start reading from the back because I can give you my synopsis, but sometimes I'm not really good at that. So, Asako's living her dream working in the toiletry maker Lilia Drop, but she has a secret. The reason she loves the company so much is that she's ashamed of her body odor. That was really bad. Let's forget that. Asako has a really bad body odor. She sweats a whole lot. She works at Lilia Drop, which is a soap toiletry making company, and she meets a guy who is the product developer, and they become friends, and then there's a romance, and then all of her insecurities are made into securities because he's such a wonderful guy and he loves everything about her. And this is the kind of romance, this is what we should have. It shouldn't be the complicated thing where the girl's like, oh, I don't know if he would ever like me, and he'll be like, oh my god, she's so hot, and I'm doing a really bad rendition. Let's move on. I highly recommend it because it is realistic, it is relatable, and it's just romance done right. This next series, I hated the idea of it. I thought it was creepy. I'm not interested in age gaps, but I started reading Living Room Matsunaga-san, and I can't get enough of it. There he goes. I can't get enough of it. That is the result of listening to my manga-gram friends and seeing it posted everywhere and looking at MangaTube, and I was interested enough to pick it up. My girl Laura A. Grace reads this, and I'm like, okay, this sounds uninnocent. Uninnocent, is that a word? I don't know. It doesn't sound innocent at all, But Laura, y'all know Laura is like the most pure person. I mean, at least from my perspective. So if she likes it, then I had to give it a try. And when I say I love this story, it is only on volume 9 at the moment. And by the way, I'm only showing you guys volume 1s. I don't want to like ruin anything for anyone who may try. Can you focus for me? Thank you. Like, come on, new lens, get with it. This is a story about a young girl who is in high school who moves into a, what do they call it? They called it a housing boarding house. She moved into a boarding house that belonged to her uncle, and just, you know, for a different change of scenery, things were going on in her regular home, so they wanted to give her a new place to stay and, you know, develop differently, go to different schools because of the issues at home. And she meets up with Matsunaga-san. And what's Matsunaga's real name? I don't remember. I can't remember. I just call him Matsunaga-san. He is an older gentleman who is a designer, basically. He designs websites, web designer. And she developed a crush on Matsunaga-san. Meanwhile, Matsunaga-san took notice of her. And that's why I'm stopping. I'm stopping right there. Oh, just hit myself in the face with it. I don't want to give it away. Highly recommend, if you can take the ages out. Like, I try to think of it as like her being 18 and him being 21. That's the age they are in my mind, because the 18-year-old could still be in high school. The 21-year-old could be a web designer, and they're not that far apart, because they are definitely written a lot further apart. So, man, I'm really trying to justify this, and I feel really terrible doing it. Highly recommend. And you know what I noticed? Even though I'm not a romance person, the first 3 I've done has been romance. Whoa. This next series is one that is super, very special. Super, very special. It's one that's super special to me because it is the very first volume of manga that I bought, and that is Beastars. I saw Beastars, the anime. I was watching it, of course, during the pandemic, and I was trying to find something to watch. And I watched the little preview, and I was like, that seems interesting, and was hooked just like that. Then I found out that there were actual books. I was like, oh yeah, manga, anime, duh, same, goes together. This story is one of the most complicated stories to explain. We have Legoshi the Wolf, and this is a shonen, I believe. We have Legoshi the Wolf that goes to high school, and it's a beast, of course. There's animals there, and it's carnivores and herbivores that are together. The carnivores do not eat meat because, you know, it wouldn't be right to go to high school with a bunch of herbivores, and then be like, oh yeah, y'all, I'm eating on a rabbit leg and your rabbit friend sitting in front of you. That would be creepy. So they're trying to build a society. And you know what? I felt bad for the carnivores. I was like, y'all, that ain't right, because that's what carnivores eat meat. They need blood. They got these sharp teeth for a reason. While the herbivores just kind of walked around and was like, yeah, we don't get eaten, we're not prey, blah, blah, blah. But then you think about it, you're like, I can go on and on about this. Anyway, I fell in love with Legoshi. I thought he was one of the sweetest, most pure animals, characters. Haru, she was a typical hoe. Then we had Louis, who was an arrogant deer. The beautiful thing about this series is that there are there's stories. I couldn't get that out. There's stories. There are backstories. Deep, bruh. Deep. I'm telling you. And how can I describe this to someone? It is like a murder mystery, romance, but typical shonen where people are like, I'm going to get to the top and be the best. And there's some fighting and there's a bunch of action in that way. And then there's some comedy on this side. And then on this side, we've got some, what do they call it? Slice of life. It's everything. Like, it's a great series. Okay, so I'm laughing a little bit because this next series is one that I absolutely could not stand when I first saw it. And many of you probably know what I'm talking about. And as soon as I reveal it, I'm going to put a clip of what I first said about it. And that is Fruits Basket. I have Fruits Basket Collector's Edition Volume 1. You guys, don't hate me, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm going to keep Okay, I saw basket everywhere, and everybody, shoujo lovers across the world and in my local area, was like, Fruits Basket, you need to read that. When I was at work during when we went back to school for the hybrid, I was sitting down to read manga, and people are passing me like, have you read Fruits Basket? I'm like, it's stupid. Somebody else, have you read Fruits Basket? I'm like, I'll go in there, strawberry shoujo. Fruits Basket, and then there's another girl who's like, Fruits Basket, so many people, Fruits Basket. I bought Fruits Basket. I made it to like page 10, and I was like, this is the dumbest. Well, it doesn't make any sense. I go back to the school. The teacher goes, hey, did you read Fruits Basket? I said it was dumb. She said, watch the new anime. Watched the first episode, and I was like, oh, this is... Well, I went and I bought everyone up to date, and Fruits Basket is probably one of my favorite shoujos ever. I can't believe I'm saying that. I love Fruits Basket. It is basically, it's a romance. It's supposed to be a romance, but here's the thing. With every romance that I enjoy, it's very different. It's not just lovey-dovey. This is a dark romance. I'm a new category, dark shoujo. It has to be spicy because there's so many elements in it. There's like a whole bunch of family issues, mental issues, psychological issues, internal commentary, dark internal commentary, people getting up. It is full of everything. Your favorite TV drama? Y'all thought, what was that one TV drama? General Hospital, whatever. Y'all thought that was drama? Nah, this got family drama, outside drama, everything. So this next series is one that made me fall in love with my very favorite mangaka. You guys already know who it is. Junji Ito's Uzumaki. It is a horror-filled adventure about spirals. Spirals taking over a city prefecture, taking over the minds, taking over every aspect of everyone. The obsession with a spiral in every aspect that you can think of, in food, in clothing, in hair, in the formation of a town. Just so many levels of obsession that you wouldn't even think about. That is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I don't know what he was on, what type of shroom my guy took to get this, cause y'all know Junji. Y'all keep slapping my leg. Sorry, y'all know Junji Ito, right? He's like, he be like, hello, you know, I'm saying it in English. He be like, arigato gozaimasu. Like, he's like, you know, like humble, but the stuff he writes. This is, if you want to get into horror, any kind of horror manga, I suggest Uzumaki being your first pickup. It is a hefty one. You'll have time to read, you know, over a course of months or weeks or whatever. I read this in a day, but you know, I was too deep into it. If you want to get into horror manga, if you're interested in horror manga art, Junji Ito has one of the most beautiful art styles that I've ever seen. And of course, I'm going to hype him up because he is my guy. Like, we're best friends. Y'all know me and Junji Ito are best friends. I am the #1 Junji Ito girl, or Ito fangirl, and I'm going to hype my guy up. His art's great. His stories are weird. They fit my personality. They fit my world, my thought process. They fit. I cannot recommend Uzumaki. This next volume is one from my second favorite mangaka, but he is my #1 sci-fi mystery mangaka, and that is 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. I love Naoki Urasawa, and I was introduced to Naoki Urasawa actually by Asadora. Asadora was the first Naoki Urasawa work that I read. When I read that, I was like, first of all, his art is cool. And then I went and looked for a digital. No, because Naoki Urasawa-san writes and draws, you know, up till a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, he still draws like on paper. So you're not going to find most of his work digitally in English. Now, he just announced on his YouTube page, y'all go follow Naoki Urasawa on YouTube because he got a YouTube channel. Anyway, he announced that certain volumes of manga of his are going to be available in Japanese. So our day is coming where it can be digital for everyone who enjoys digital books can experience Naoki Urasawa, because his books are expensive. This is, what is $20? That's not too bad. It's 2 volumes, it's an omnibus. I have gone off on a rant. Let's come back to it. So 20th Century Boys. And how do I explain 20th Century Boys? It is a mystery sci-fi where a group of friends end up having to solve a mystery of basically a cult that was formed, and they're trying to figure out who this cult leader is. The cult leader's name is Friend. He calls himself Friend, and there's so many things going around that they're like, wait, something's really weird about Friend. And Friend's objective, of course, is to take over the world. And there is a certain lineup of things that are happening, and that group of friends that grew up together was like, this kind of sounds familiar. And then they see a symbol, and it's like, oh, that symbol is different. And I'm gonna stop right there. Adventure. And I'm gonna tell you one thing about Naoki Urasawa and his writing. Do not read over anything and throw it to the side, because every single thing that you read will come back again. That is what pulled me in about 20th Century Boys and reading an entire series. I read the entire series of 20th Century Boys. Wow, I lost the train of thought. In a week. It might have been less than a week, because I could not stop. And I would get somewhere and I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like grabbing the first volume and I'm like, wait, I saw that. And I found it. I'm like, oh, yo, he told us already. So it's like, you got to take notes, because he is a clever, genius writer. And I highly recommend anything by Naoki Urasawa. I have most of everything I can. I'm working on Master Keaton now, because my girl Dax, thank you. Hey, it's Dax. She bought me my first volume of Master Keaton. But because of Asadora and me starting this, I want every single thing written by Naoki Urasawa that is printed in English, because he's an amazing writer. So highly, highly, highly recommend. So next up, we have something that I've heard everywhere. I thought it was too hyped up. I didn't want nothing to do with it. And then I read the first volume, and I thought it was the most hilarious, fun thing that I've ever experienced. And that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is part 1, but your girl has collected every volume up to date, because it's great. It is basically about this family who has these adventures, and they have this power called Hamon, and this power that they can track through water or oil, any kind of liquid, and they can fight, and they're fighting these powerful entities from history, and it's bizarre. There's no explanation, because every part is similar but different from the other one. So there's a different JoJo in every series, or every part. There's 5 parts out in English right now. I believe overall there are 9 parts. And there's a JoJo, and they're all connected in some kind of way to the previous JoJo. And it talks about how they have this power of Hamon, and they go through all these different things where they're going on these bizarre adventures and fighting. And the dialogue in this, and I'm sorry, I didn't even say who wrote it. It's Hirohiko Araki. He wrote all the JoJo series. And if you guys want to go on a bizarre adventure, I'll say it like this. If you are interested in like shoujo or not shoujo, shonen or seinen manga, or you like adventure, fighting, and you only can afford to collect one series, or you're only interested in collecting one series, this is the series to go. I think part 1 has 3 books. Part 2 has 4 books. Part 3 has 10. Part 4 has 9. And so far in English, part 5 only has 3 volumes out, because I think the 3rd one's coming out next week. This is a great series to choose to collect if you only want to choose. If you only want to collect, I can't even talk. Let's get yourself together. If you only want to collect one series. And for the last manga, I wanted to choose something that I read that wasn't super duper hyped. And it's not mainstream. I don't feel like maybe I'm wrong, but it was something that I saw Dustin, you know, guilty of being, or what is he like? What is he like? Is he guilty of being still? I don't know. Y'all know Dustin. I don't even know what his name is. Is it guilty of being or Texas Senpai? Something like that. Probably both of them. My buddy, he reads some of the coolest manga that I've ever seen. Most of his stuff is not hype manga, like it's not hype through, you know, media or whatever. It is just cool. I don't know what you would call it. Indie manga, I guess. Anyway, I picked this up because he had it, and it is The Strange Tale of Panorama Island. And the art in this is unique. Who wrote it? Suhiro Maruo. Suhiro Maruo. I'm sorry, Mr. Maruo. Anyway, I'm actually going to read the back of this because I can't explain it. It is a strange tale. It is weird. It is an adult only because there are some scenes in here that are like, whoa, y'all are really open with, you know, y'all are really open. It's not like hentai-ish, or it's not like nothing like that. It's just, it's strange. So, set in the 1920s Japan, The Strange Tale of Panorama Island follows the twisted path of failed novelist Hitomi, who bears an uncanny resemblance to the son of a rich industrialist. Learning of the rich man's sudden passing, Hitomi undertakes a desperate plan to fake his own death and impersonate the industrialist. He successfully takes over all aspects of the dead man's life, including his company, his fortune, and eventually his wife. And that's what I'm going to give you. This was definitely a series that kind of threw me off. Did not know that I would enjoy it. And like I said about the first series, I still think about this to this day. If you can find this, please try it out. It is not Jujutsu Kaisen. It is not, what else do I have? A Blue Period, One Punch Man. It's not on that level of hype, but it's a better story than a lot of the stuff that's coming out today because it's just so different. You know, it took some risks, and I think it's a piece that you should absolutely have in your collection. So thank you guys for joining me today. That was my top reads for 2021. Mind you, I read a whole lot more, and this was my first year in manga, so like I said, those picks were super duper hard because I am just discovering manga. So most of what I read was shocking and exciting. You guys recall from my first video, if you haven't seen that, I'm gonna put a link in the card and show you exactly how much I knew about manga. But I said that I thought manga was just picture books and it wasn't real reading because I was interested in novels only. Well, when I say that my collection has grown, I have a collection video, and I just started collecting this year. Manga has taken over my life, and so every single book that I've read has been shocking, but those 9 were 9 that really stuck out to me. So thank you again for joining me. If you enjoy what you watch, please subscribe, say what's up, comment below. With that said, you guys have a beautiful day. Happy New Year again, and peace out.